Introducing Oyinkansola Alabi, popularly referred to as the Emotions Doctor, is the lead researcher, intellectual property owner, and the lead facilitator of Emotions City.
Hello and welcome to Emotional Intelligence for Christians online course. My name is Oyinkansola Alabi, popularly known as the Emotions Doctor. It is my pleasure to be here this evening. I have waited for 3 months to document this knowledge and this process, and it is very emotional and precise for me because I see a handful of Christians struggling to be happy, to be joyful, to experience wealth, and to experience deep peace. And I'm here to humbly submit that everything about emotional intelligence is tied to the God that we serve. The first day I embarked on the emotional intelligence journey, which was roughly about 5 years ago, I sat in my class in the United States, and every instructor that came in, I observed that all of them taught emotional intelligence from the Bible, from the spiritual realm, but they had repackaged it. Interestingly, none of them was a Christian. So as they spoke about peace, joy, and every element under emotional intelligence, I sat down and I said to myself, if people who do not believe in the Lord Jesus can have this level of depth and insight and revelation, how much more me who believes in Him? So I decided to sit down and to study the scriptures for myself, because it looked to me like they had studied the personality that we serve and they have been able to repackage Him to suit them, which is also good. So everything that I'll be sharing is not just what I have read or studied, but what has changed my life. I will be discussing in the next 6 courses how to increase profitability, increase performance, and ultimately productivity as a child of God. I will also be discussing how you can profit from emotional intelligence, how emotional intelligence is the new gold. I will discuss what exactly emotional intelligence is and why you should pay attention to emotional intelligence in 2020, 2021 until you exit the earth. So this online course has 6 different modules in them. The first module is called How Jesus Embodied Emotional Intelligence. The second one is the Self-Aware Jesus. The third one is the Social Intelligent Jesus. The fourth one is Relationship Management and Jesus. The fifth one is Empathy and Jesus. And finally, How to Convert EQ, which is Emotional Intelligence, and the new gold into wealth. So just in case you are wondering why I have gone to this extent, interestingly, I have spent the last 17 years of my life as a pastor and a spiritual leader. And beyond the fact that I'm a pastor and a spiritual leader, I am consumed by the passion to help as many people as possible to embrace space, to embrace joy, to redesign and recreate their lives. So all of us have a story that we did not choose, which is what I call the story of your life. So who gave birth to you, how you were given birth to, in what circumstance, whether before marriage, out of wedlock, whatever, and then who raised you, your siblings, the schools you went to, a whole lot of things that you and I could not choose. We did not have the privilege to participate in the decision-making process from heaven, and even on earth, we obviously were not mature to a particular point. In fact, maturity or adulthood is defined from age 18. So between the first and 18 years of your life, you are receiving instructions, you are following other people's programs, other people's models of the world, you are following patterns, you are dealing with culture and society, and all of this you are doing unconsciously because you are not even aware that you are a puzzle in the entire program and in what you do. So by the time all of us grew up, we already had a program in place. We had applications, social applications in place, the kind of people to relate with, the kind of people to deal with, the kind of people to say hello to, the kind of people to date, the kind of people to hate, the kind of people to spend a part of your life with, the kind of God to worship, the kind of countries to go to and where not to go to, the kind of we're talking about ethnicity, we're talking about racism. Like, by the time we were 18, we were already programmed. We were already programmed to think in a certain way, to act in a certain way, feel in a particular way also. And then some of us also did not have an idea of the programs that we're running. So when we became adults, we just thought, oh, this is who I am. I'm here to remind you that it is not who you are, it is who you have become. So you have become a collage and a summation of everybody who raised you and also erased you. Because it is either they are raising you or they are erasing you. But before we go down there, we're dealing with how emotional intelligence is going to help you increase your productivity and profitability as a Christian, as a child of God. As a child of God, are you aware that you can blend spirituality and intelligence or intellectualism together? That are you aware that your gift of the Spirit can help you function excellently well in the marketplace? And that's part of what I'm going to be showing you. So let's look at how Jesus embodied emotional intelligence. Welcome once again and officially to Module 1, how Jesus embodied emotional intelligence. So, emotional intelligence was created by different professors. Two most especially are the pioneers. One is the creator, the other one is the evangelist. So the creator is the president of Yale University, Peter Salovey. I spent a time with Peter earlier on in the year in Nigeria when he came around from Yale to visit, and members of alumni members of Yale were invited to participate. We were invited to a dinner with him, in which I also attended as the first African and Nigerian to attend the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. So I sat down there looking at this gentleman who has created an industry, created what is changing the world and what has changed people like me to get on the mission and vision to preserve what it is to be human. So Peter said that, when I started out in the emotional intelligence sector as a professor, I had some research papers to submit, and I was doing my research papers and doing my research works and experiments. And part of what I needed to show was that IQ is fantastic, but are there other determinants of success? And then I hit this gold that yes, IQ is how intelligent you are, a summation of your nursery to primary school to university to master's degree to doctorate, whatever. IQ is a blend of everything you have ever read and everything you will ever read. IQ is to show how intelligent you are. IQ is a reflection of your report card. So when teachers are signing report cards of giving our results, what they're trying to do is to gauge your IQ. So IQ is fantastic. IQ introduces you to the world. IQ reminds people of your existence, that you are either average, you're an average thinker, or you are more than average, or you are a special person or extraordinary, whatever it is, that is what IQ reflects. So Peter came and said, I submit to IQ, I agree that IQ exists, but beyond IQ, there's something else that needs to sustain everything you attract. So yes, you can attract a job, you can attract a partner, you can attract an investor, you can attract clients, but you need to sustain and nurture them. So in this sustenance and in the nurturing, there's something else that we need to submit to and defer to and acknowledge and recognize that exists beyond IQ. And he went further to prove what emotional intelligence is and why emotional intelligence is very important. And he documented it. It was fine. That was in 1995. And Daniel Goleman picked the same piece and went ahead, wrote a book on it, and it caught fire. So what exactly is emotional intelligence? According to the two professors, in layman's terms, emotional intelligence is a blend of your thinking and feeling capacity to make optimal decisions. A blend of your thoughts and your feelings to produce an action. So a blend of your T and F and to produce an A. But in simple words, like a school that I attended in the US called the 6 Seconds Network. 6 Seconds says that emotional intelligence is how to be smart with your feelings. So breaking it down, if you're talking about financial intelligence, you are discussing how to save and invest. If you're talking about spiritual intelligence, you're talking about bowing down to a flavor of God. If you're talking about physical intelligence, you're talking about what you eat and how you eat. So you're talking about what you take in and what comes out of you. So exercise and all of that put together. So if you're talking about mental intelligence, you're talking about your personal development and your personal investment and commitment to your success. So if you are dealing with or trying to describe emotional intelligence at any level, you are discussing how to be smart with your feelings. The same way you are smart with your money, smart with your body, smart with your life. You are smart with your emotions. So how exactly did Jesus deal with how exactly did Jesus depict emotional intelligence? How was Jesus the symbol of emotional intelligence? How did Jesus depict emotion? So if you look at the scriptures, you will see some verses that I will read out to you later on of how Jesus got angry, how he chased people out of the temple. At a point, Jesus also wept. At some other point, Jesus was, permit me to use the word upset, at the point where he was telling his disciples, so you could not even wait on me and pray with me for an hour. So all of this we'll be discussing in the different modules, and the modules are very significant and very deliberate because there are 4 cardinal points of emotional intelligence, 4 cardinal points, and the 4 cardinal points stands for the acronym SSSR, triple S and R. So the first S is self-awareness, because every level of change and development starts with you. The reason why the world is what it is because people want to change other people without changing themselves. So husband and wife have an issue, each of them is focusing on the other partner, not even on themselves. They are seeing each other as the problem, not themselves. So leaders are also focusing on their followers, forgetting. So I was asking someone today who said to me that a particular brand of laptop is not particularly friendly. And I said, oh, how did we arrive at it? He said, oh, it probably is depicting the personality of the originator or the creator. And that's what it is. So emotional intelligence is an embodiment and the cardinal of SSSR. First one is self-awareness, which we will define as the ability to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, understand what you are good at and what you should delegate, where you should lead and where you should defer, where you should be assertive and where you should take a bow. So self-awareness is an internal and personal audit. The ability to understand your existence, the ability to know what you are good at, and the ability to submit when you have to submit. The issues that we have at the level of self-awareness is one of the lies or the dramas that we have is we hardly take into cognizance of the fact that we are not good at everything. We don't even know ourselves enough to appreciate that reality. So self-awareness is the sum total of your strengths, your weaknesses, sum total of your thoughts, sum total of your behavior. And when I say your thoughts, you being conscious of your consciousness, you being conscious of the thought behind your thought. Because for every thought, there's a sponsoring thought. So self-awareness is a sum total. Self-awareness focuses on you. Self-awareness is dealing with your respect to yourself, you respecting and relating with yourself the way you relate with other people. So do you keep your word to yourself, not to talk of keeping your word to other people? So we would define this in some extent and in a longer version. So we have self-awareness, we have the self-management, because after being aware, you have to manage yourself. Every level of leadership starts with self, but beyond the recognition, which is self-awareness, you have to regulate what you have recognized. So self-awareness comes before self-regulation deliberately. Self-awareness is first, self-regulation is second. After you have recognized yourself, you must regulate what you have recognized. After you have articulated your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, you should be able to regulate and manage what you know. There's no reason why you are recognizing, understanding, and not labeling, regulating, and managing the entire process. And self-regulation is what you and I are going to do till we die. We will forever regulate our emotions, forever regulate our thoughts, forever regulate our feelings. It's just the same way you service your car. You will forever do that as long as you have a car. So your emotions are data, your emotions are messengers, your emotions are a reflection of your soul. So they give you a picture of your soul. So self-awareness, self-regulation, when you're done with recognition and regulation, then you are permitted to move to social awareness. Social awareness at Emotion City is also called awareness of others. The capacity to relate with people the way you relate with yourself. So understanding other people's emotions the way you understand your emotions. So if you understand emotions, then you should pay attention to other people's emotions also. Understanding other people's thoughts, feelings, and actions. Understanding what is working, what is not working. Understanding the 5 love languages of people. Understanding their meta programs. Understanding what is driving them. Understanding internal representation. So self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, which is social intelligence or awareness of others, and finally relationship management. So here are the modules that we will be discussing in the next 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes of how Jesus embodied all of this, how Jesus embodied the cardinals of emotional intelligence, which is SSSR. So thank you once again for hanging out with me today. I am very aware that it's going to be a fantastic time. Like, I was reading some of the scriptures of how Jesus weaved and scripted emotional intelligence in his actions, in his day-to-day life on a per minute and per second basis, how he related with everybody, himself and other people, how it was a true reflection of Galatians 5:22, which is the fruit of the Spirit. And I was into it and I was shedding tears because I just felt if we understood the power that we had. The Bible says that those that know their God shall be strong and they will do exploit. And Jesus opened my eyes to understand what that really meant. So let's look at it. He says those that know, meaning it's not everybody that will know. So it is only those that know. It's not everybody that will know. So knowing is not automatic. You have to seek the knowledge. So that you are a Christian does not mean you will know. Being a Christian is the elementary stage. So it's like getting admission into school. You have to read your books to excel or scale through to the next class or get promoted. So those that know their God. Those that know their God. Sometimes I actually think that those that know their craft also in your industry and what you do shall be strong and they will do exploit. When people say to me that they are not confident or they are experiencing imposter syndrome, something I say to them is, how knowledgeable are you? Do you know what you think you know? Because when you know, so those that know their God, those that know their craft shall be strong. If you are not feeling strong, it may be because you do not know or you do not know enough. Because when you know, knowledge equals strength. So those that know their God shall be strong. Knowledge equals strength. And when you know and you have strength, you will automatically do exploits. So if you are not doing exploits, you may not really know. And how do you know? In 3 ways that I would also mention. So if you are a Christian and you do not know your craft well enough, you may not be strong and you may not do exploits. And it's not a God problem, it's not a prayer problem, it's not a tithe problem, it's not a fasting problem. It's so much about how much of your time are you dedicating to this craft. You will be shocked at how many hours of labor the people you call unbelievers dedicate to their craft. You may be shocked at their rehearsal time. You may be shocked at everything that they do. Sometimes, so there are some good people that I follow online. I know they have a relationship with God. So I look at a gentleman like Cristiano Ronaldo, Ronaldo, and I see him at the gym almost every time. In fact, sometimes when I don't want to go to jog or anything, I just remember that if Cristiano, who has been world best for how many years, is doing this, how much more you? I see Serena Williams. I see this gentleman who just moved to Manchester United now, Igalo. And I see the way they build and they do all of that. And I remind myself that if these guys can be this dedicated to their craft, to be one of the world's best. I see Usain Bolt. So now I look at it. Those that know their craft, these 4 names that I've mentioned, obviously know their craft. Anyone that they are strong and they are doing exploits. So, once again, welcome to the module 1. Right about now, we will proceed to the next module, which is to discuss the self-awareness, how Jesus embodied the first cardinal point of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this timeless teaching. For bookings or details on the Emotion City, please visit www.emotioncity.com.